Hi, I'm Virginia Greaves,
And I'm Leisa Rich.
and today we're going to talk a little bit about our wash and wax collaboration. We've spent the last 18 months creating the show, and we wanted to give you a taste of it. We met we met a couple of years ago, and a year ago we had two pieces hanging together at the Georgia Artist Show here at the Abernathy Arts Center in Sandy Springs, Georgia. The curator, Lauren Bernatza, had put our two pieces together, and she suggested that we do a collaborative piece together. This is the first piece that we started together, and it was an experiment to see if we could work together. I actually tend to work in very illustrative work in a 2D quilted format, and Leisa works more in 3D printed objects, but her background was in fibers.
And from there, on the wall, we actually created a collaboration wall. Our collaboration lasted 18 months, and it was comprised of many elements. Texts and photographs, and that's actually what the entire Wash and Wax exhibition was based on, were photographs that I had taken when I was in car washes. So we've created a wall that has the original car wash photos, some of our text exchanges, some of our email exchanges, phone calls we had, broken sewing machine needles, and this was our plan for the very large piece that we'll introduce you to a little later in the video. So this wall gave viewers who were attending the exhibition a little bit of a chance to see how our collaboration progressed and see what we talked about during that collaboration. Another piece of ours, and I'll let Ginny talk a little bit about that.
This is called Polish. It was actually one of the last pieces that we did together. And at this point, it was obvious that I was becoming much more free with the abstract format. This has the vinyl overlay on it that gives the nice wet feeling. But for the most part, although this was not true on every piece, but on many of them I would cut out all of the fabrics, and then Leisa would take the piece and she would add all of the unusual plastics and films and any paper that was on there and do free motion embroidery, and then I would take the piece back and quilt it and finish it. And this is one of those pieces.
We'll give you a little bit of a look at the back of the piece so you can see some of the quilting stitches. There were hours and hours and hours of work in each one of these pieces, both in piecing on Ginny's part and my adding different elements and adding plastics and all sorts of different things, nail polish, all sorts of recycled fabrics, and using free motion stitching, we created a lot of texture and a lot of beautiful different elements that are very intriguing when you see them up close. So it represents hundreds and hundreds of hours in each of these works.
This one is called Agitated. This is one that we planned out a lot in advance before it was actually put together, because Leisa had the idea of making one based on the agitator that's in the car wash, with the car wash strips coming down in the heavy wool. And so we talked and planned this out a lot. Its execution didn't take very long because we had planned it together so well. But it's very three-dimensional with the walls, with the wool strips coming down off the wall.
And this one was really interesting in that Ginny gave me the pieced strips in that motion and movement, all the different colors of reds with the little addition of pale yellow. And from there, I overlaid an entire piece of vinyl over the whole piece, and then I sliced away in careful sections in between the stitching so that we had this play of shiny and matte, which helps to create a lot of feeling of movement and texture in this piece. This is one of my personal favorites. I also dyed and distressed the blue with bleach so that it would give that feeling of them being well-used strips, well-loved. And from there, we go on to
This one is called Bubble Bath. This is one of the earlier ones in the series that we did. And I think that this one was one that I over-planned. It took a lot of time on my part in terms of cutting it out and getting it just where I wanted it to be. And then I gave it to Lisa, and this was as well as a great example of the free motion embroidery work that she adds to every piece. You can see a lot of it with the purple on the black. She also added, again, her plastics, unusual elements, and it was a great lesson to me in terms of creative dissonance. I plan out my pieces to the nth degree, and then I execute them. Lisa made these pieces, printed them out on her inkjet printer onto canvas, cut them and put them on the piece, and it just adds that pop of color that brings the piece alive. And this is probably one of my most favorites.
There are bits of all sorts of little plastics and vinyls added to give it shine and texture. So each piece has a lot of free motion stitching, a lot of quilting, a lot of thinking about color and elements.
This piece is, this was hard for me. This was a piece, it's called Sparkle and Shine, that made me realize that I was, as our friend Leah said, working in the fishbowl. I tended to work along the size of the table that I had in my studio, and this one made me realize that I could work much bigger. This one's really fascinating for several reasons. It is almost the blown up version of what Bubble Bath is. All of the yellow has trapunto added to it, so it adds a lot of extra texture to the piece. And then Lisa, along with free motion embroidery, she added these cut up pieces of dresses.
This one is a Mary McFadden 1978 haute couture gown, and these sparkly black, silver on black, is one of my daughter's party dresses that got left behind when she left home to go to university. So we've really used a lot of recycled elements in addition to new, and it's been a wonderful journey to see what those elements add to each one of these pieces. We're going to take you over to our car wash. Jenny's going to pop her head through the other side.
Now this is the back side.
This is the back side, and then this is the front side.
And it's made with actual car wash strips.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I posted on Facebook sort of jokingly that I wanted to make it some sort of an actual car wash. And I got a response from one of the people in Wonderflex World who sell me Foss Shape. And Brian said, you know, hey, I've got this buddy who's in the car wash industry, and maybe he can get you some strips. And so that's exactly what happened. I contacted him, and this awesome man asked what colors we wanted, how much we wanted, and donated to us all of these wonderful strips pre-cut and ready to go, which I then printed on. And then I also designed, you may have seen in our collaboration wall drawings, you might have seen the stand that I designed, which easily holds together with no screws, no bolts, and is very, yeah, it's very secure.
It's very well made and designed. It really is wonderful.
And had it made by a fabulous carpenter.
This was
got to get way back for this one.
This was the last piece in the series. We decided to be a little different and not do an applique piece, but rather have something silk screened directly onto fabric. We used one of the photographs, the inspirational photographs that Lisa had taken during one of her many trips and car washes. And so this is a lot quieter of a piece. It has the regular edge along the top that shows the movement of the water. It shows the chrome of the car and the wax and the soap as it skids across the surface of the chrome.
And this actually is 3 yards in width. So that would be 3 times 36 inches. And so it's a large piece, a very large piece. And you can see that even though we didn't do as much stitching as we did to some of the other pieces, There is still quite a bit of padding, quilting, stitching, and detail that happens in this piece, in addition to a little bit of hand stitching and hand quilting, a little bit of metallic threads. And really, we tried to pump up on this one the three-dimensional quality and just go a little bit further with that. More of our smaller works before we go to our bigger work.
This is called Skitter. This is the third one that we did in the series, and probably the one that tested our collaborative process the greatest. I do love this piece personally. This was the first time that Lisa had given me a piece with not only the vinyl, but she had painted nail polish on the back of the vinyl in several places, which just really melted the colors together and gave such a nice feel to the piece. It's a bright piece, has a lot of contrast between the dark and the light, but a lot of the quilting stitches bring the light out into the darker areas. There's a lot of detail in this piece. There's a lot of hand embroidery. Lisa also added lace in several places, as well as this nubbly red fabric.
And, you know, speaking to the collaboration, actually, as we move on to the other piece, it was an amazing collaboration. You know, to take two people who are so completely artistically different from one another and take a chance and just, you know, dive in. It was fantastic. Both of type A, get it done, responsible, really reliable people. And that boded well for the collaboration because we knew we could count on each other. And then as the collaboration was, you know, going on from month 3, month 6, month 8, what ended up happening is just a complete and total feeding off of each other's creativity as the works were passed back and forth. First Ginny would piece, she'd give it to me to sew, you know, do my free motion, add some elements. Then I give it back to her. She'd do free motion quilting. She'd do all sorts of different manipulating of the 3 layers so that it was actually, they were quilts. But they became paintings, really. They became textural paintings that were so rich and so extraordinary that, you know, it tested us both in many ways, but yet more so than testing us, it brought us together. And, you know, as you've noticed, we broke the quilt boundaries of being, you know, some sort of a vertical or a horizontal format, and in many of them really broke away from that and gave them some scalloped edges. But then I said, Ginny, we've got to go bigger. We have to go bigger.
And bigger.
We have to go bigger.
And bigger. And bigger.
And I was driving her crazy because, you know, we do these organic pieces. I wanted it to be just really breaking that frame. And she'd say, okay, are we done now? And I'd say, no, more, more, more. And therefore, what ended up resulting, and you know, it's hard to see here, but we ended up with a 25-foot wide and about 9-foot tall installation that was done in components and is absolutely stupendous when you see it in person. And it has 1970s fabrics recycled. It's got my husband's dress shirts. It's got recycled shower curtains. Every single bit of fabric that we could scrounge and pull from a variety of different sources. There's part of a plastic bag from the grocery store, some store that had some circles on the bags. We've got more nail polish. We've got part of shower curtain. In fact, somebody came to the show and said, oh my God, I had that shower curtain. She recognized it right away. There are a recycled box of some sort of plastic 8.5 by 11 format sheets that could go through a printer. Here's some of the nail polish. These pieces are quite evocative of the nail polish that I added in. So, you know, we also floated some of the pieces off. You can see it when I go sideways, so that we got a lot of texture and dimension. And This piece took us literally thousands of hours. It just went on and on and on, and we had no idea how it would really look until we got it up and here.
And it is 25 feet, approximately 9 feet. And it is a fabulous installation piece, if I can say so myself.
So the really cool thing about it is it goes up in about 35 or 40 minutes, due to the fact that we brought all the pieces together into about 7 sections, and they just go up with a very easy system of banker pins, which you can see here, which hold the piece very, very well and yet allow it to float on the wall and come down super easily. We also did some of the framed car wash photographs, and we did a series of micro quilts. And we've gone 16 minutes, a little bit over now, so we're going to cut it here for you so you don't have to watch a great big long video. But I hope you've enjoyed what we've had to say about our exhibition and enjoyed seeing it. Jenny, any last thoughts?
I have loved doing this collaboration, and I've learned a tremendous amount, and I thank Lisa for everything that she's taught me, which has been tremendous.
Yeah, it's been a pretty extraordinary experience, and it's going to travel to, well, it's going to be at Signature Gallery in Atlanta on Roswell Road in January, and we'll be there for an event where we'll be passing back and forth a piece, so come and see us there. And if you're in the Alabama area, we'll be at Jacksonville State University Hammond Gallery in March with the whole exhibition. And then we'll have the quilts, not the larger pieces, but all of the quilts at the Irving Art Center Gallery sometime in the summer of 2016. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.